Hello, good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone. And it's nice to have you all here this morning.
Good morning.
We are having our session on employability webinar this morning, and we have with us Uchenna Okoro. She will be facilitating this morning's session. Before she comes up, I would like to welcome my colleague, Samuel Ede, to take over. Over to you, Samuel.
All right, good morning, everyone. Good morning, all of us from the southern and the northern part of the country, and welcome to another wonderful and beautiful Monday morning. So today is our employability webinar, and it's going to be an interesting topic on recycling. And I'm so sure you'll be wondering, what kind of recycling are we talking about this morning? It's completely different from the usual recycling we are used to. And to go further, I'll be inviting Professor Erifeta Georgina to take the bio of our facilitator. Over to you, Georgina.
Thank you very much, Director, and thank you for the privilege to read the summarized citation of Uchenna Okoro, our facilitator for the employability program for today. Our facilitator for our event today, Uchenna Okoro, is the visionary behind Estrogen, redefining jewelry for the bold and intentional using recycled metals. With a deep love for craft and storytelling, she founded Estrogen to offer pieces that feel personal, powerful, and unapologetically expressive while championing sustainability in Nigeria. Under Uchenna's leadership, Estrogen has grown into more than a brand. It's a movement rooted in self-expression, meaning, and meticulous craftsmanship. Please join me, dear directors, and everyone on the call to welcome our facilitator today, Uchenna Okoro. Thank you very much. You have the floor.
Hello, everyone.
Hi.
Morning. I'm excited to be here. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, especially American Corner, and thank you guys for being here. Today, I want to talk about recycling and what it means to me. It's a topic I'm very passionate about. Today, we are going to be talking about prospects. Prospects in the recycling space. A metal recycling perspective for jewelry. Recycling in Nigeria is still developing, but it is rapidly growing. A lot of people do not know that there is a robust recycling industry here in Nigeria. But one of the things we grew up seeing was people going around picking up scrap metals, picking up scrap plastic, and even glass. They used to sell it, and maybe in the house, right? You guys gathered it, and then whenever the scavengers came around, it was sold for a pittance. However, as we are in the 21st century, there has been increased urbanization and waste generation from plastic, metals, styrofoam, and every other thing has increased drastically. So for instance, in Nigeria, we generate almost 32 metric tons of waste just in Nigeria alone. And now, what do we do with this kind of waste? What do we do with it? Do we throw them away or not? Now, all over the world, emphasis is being placed on recycling and how we can use this waste to create new items that human beings can use. In Nigeria, there's not a whole lot of metal recycling going on. You can see a lot of plastic and all the other forms of paper recycling. But I'm here to tell you that there is a profitable pathway in metal recycling in Nigeria. And why is metal recycling very interesting? Metal recycling is very interesting because it is a material that can be infinitely recycled. So metal does not go to waste in any form, right? You can recycle it over and over and over again, and you still get a high integrity product. Metal recycling also matters because of the significant energy savings. For instance, if we are recycling scrap aluminum, we save almost 95% of the energy versus starting the creation of aluminum from scratch. Metal recycling is also very important because it reduces the impact, the damage on the environment, especially during mining, because most of these metals are mined from the ground. So that leads me to my next topic, Nigeria's metal waste landscape. Tons of, like I said earlier, tons of metal waste are generated annually from households, from the automotive industry, from the mobile industry, even our mobile phones, scrap cars. A whole lot of metal waste is generated in Nigeria, and it is informal. There is no standardized way of collecting these scrap metals. You just see scavengers go up buying them from family units, households, on the streets, and all of that. So you can see that, but then when they collect this, there is really no market to offtake it from their hands to create into, to use it to create a new product, right? All they do is try to sell it and send it abroad for them to smelt and use it to do a new product. That's why I say that there is untapped potential in organized value-added metal recycling in Nigeria. Instead of sending these waste metals abroad, we can recycle them here in Nigeria to do something to produce something that Nigerians can use. Because of this, there is a huge business opportunity in metal recycling. All over the 36 states of the country, there is high demand for steel, there is high demand for brass, there is high demand for copper. We use copper to do copper wires. As at right now, the copper wires produced in Nigeria is actually more preferred during the installation of houses and all of that because of the quality. This also means that small localized operations can be cost effective. These metals are sold for a pittance. The money is not so much it doesn't cost so much to buy. So it is easy for you to obtain them and smelt them into any finished product that you have. I also want to point out that the market trends in the national and international markets favors sustainable manufacturing and recycling. All over the world, in North America, in Europe, and in other developed continents, there's a global rise of sustainability, manufacturing, and clean energy, right? But what does that mean for Africa? What does that mean for Nigeria? Because we also have to get on board with such things. It means that over the next few years, there will be high interest in the recycling of glass, plastic, metal, basically everything that is produced as waste. People are going to look at it with new eyes and ask, what other product can we get? What other new item can we get from these wastes? There is now international interest and value in authenticity and sustainability. And right now, with a young population, we need the industrialization and commercialization of scrap or waste. One of the important case studies is global brands like Majuri, Catbird. They use recycled metals to produce their services and product offerings. This means that if other people are doing it, it means that we can replicate this here in Nigeria. This also means that there is now an opportunity to be the pioneers of this in the Nigerian context. As we enter the circular economy, where there is an emphasis on the reduction of waste, we need to be the ones that would drive this change in the country. Despite all this that I'm saying, there are a lot of challenges that someone would face when recycling. One of the major ones is the lack of formal recycling infrastructure. You are not going to see the big machines. You are not going to see the smelting machines. But that is not something that should stop you from venturing into this field. And then there is a whole lot of public distrust, and there's lack of public awareness and trust in recycled materials. When you tell people, this is recycled, especially in the Nigerian setting, they're like, is it too good? Is it okay? How will it last? What's the durability? So there we need to create more public awareness and trust in recycled items. Although we have challenges, there are solutions to it. One of the ways is to use storytelling and transparency to build brand trust, right? If you are starting a recycling company in Nigeria, you have to get in front of your customers, you have to get in front of your market. You have to tell them why what you are doing is important for them, for the environment, for the community, and for industrialization and manufacturing. You have to go behind the scenes, make videos, get your customers, people that have already used your product, to come and talk about why they are using this product, their experience, and all of that. And then another thing we need to do is we need to invest in indigenous refining and control processes. We also need to partner with informal scrap collectors to formalize the way we source and recycle our scrap metals. All over the world, again, there is like big interest in manufacturing. That gives us an advantage here in Nigeria because we have abundant scrap or waste that can be recycled in Nigeria. It also means that we have untapped markets that we can fill with homegrown manufacturing. One of the interesting things about recycling is that you can have a lot of vertical integration, from the recycling to selling a finished product. There are a lot of things that you can sell or manufacture from just metal recycling. That leads me to Estrogen, the business I founded from recycling of metals. Estrogen is an intersection between sustainability, fashion, and clean manufacturing. We use a lot of technologies such as 3D manufacturing, casting and finishing techniques to recycle scrap metals and turn them into jewelry for women. We rely heavily on using technology and 21st century science. We started Estrogen because there was a growing consumer demand for ethical and sustainable fashion here in Nigeria. I also want to point out that 1 in 2 women in Nigeria wear some form of jewelry. Recycling isn't just about waste. It's about value creation. we need to create a circular economy where everything we have can be converted to some form of new products. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, Uchenna. I don't know if we have questions from our spaces. You can raise your virtual hand. Okay, I can see Professor Georgina. Please, you can unmute and ask your question.
Thank you, Ma. Thank you, Uchenna, for your very insightful session. I am passionate about what you're doing because I'm an ecological biochemist. In fact, presently, I belong to a consortium of universities that are directly involved in the project that is turned towards reducing plastic waste in Nigeria. It is called Sustainable Plastic Waste and Recycling Management, a project funded by, let me not talk about the funders. So sincerely, the statistics you gave is very correct. Last week, I think it was last week, we were trying to look at looking at the waste generation in Nigeria at a glance. And it was clear that Nigeria was actually generating that amount of waste that you mentioned. That's about 32 million tons of solid waste. The data was available with the Federal Ministry of Environment and the National Environment Standards and Regulation Enforcement Agency. So it's a fact that we are part of the global body that is generating a lot of waste. And we instructed that the waste management issue in Nigeria right now has to be a revolution. We have to be really intentional. I'm particularly glad because we are delivering on the 3 hours of circular economy. That is, I hope that you'll be able to more persons to collaborate with to deliver on. Waste management is costing a lot globally, not just in Nigeria, but globally. Waste management is costing a lot. So whatever we can all do to reduce waste, reuse waste, and recycle waste is very billion US dollars. That is at 2020. 2050 is projected to cost about 361 billion US dollars. So I think the clarion call for me is that everyone has to be involved. Whatever waste you are generating in your space, you have to look for how to reduce the waste, how to reuse the waste, and how to recycle the waste, which are the primary three circular economy. And from that, from doing all that,
Professor Georgina,
from doing all that has to be a personal decision. Thank you very much. Well done.
Thank you. So, would you like to respond to that, Uchenna?
Thank you very much. I'm so glad that there's now an awareness about the need for recycling and to reduce the amount of waste we generate in Nigeria, and that we can also convert. So thank you very much for your feedback. Thank you.
There's a question on the chat from Joss. How can we leverage on plastic recycling or reusing? Kindly shed more light on that so we can learn from your wealth of experience.
Okay. Plastic recycling is actually a very interesting field. I've come across a lot of people that are recycling plastic into different things. One of the interesting cases is someone that is recycling plastic into bricks for building roads. It involves a lot of processes, right? But the first thing, you have to gather the plastic waste. You have to cut it into pieces, melt it with some chemicals, and use it to mold something new. That's basically what plastic recycling covers, right? But it now depends on what you want to have as an end product. I've seen people that are using it to make bags, they're using it to make shoes, they're using it to build roads, build bricks that can be used to build roads. So basically, it's just get it, break it down, that's cut it up into pieces, melt it with chemicals, and use it to make something new.
Okay, thank you. So we have Oshogbo. Can you unmute and ask your question?
All right. Yeah, thank you. My question is about since recycling is a big business now all over the world, including Nigeria. How do we, what is it capital intensive when you are coming and new into the business? Is it very capital intensive, or there's a way you can maneuver to come in, start for free and try to build something, just like we know how businesses go? So I want to ask, is it very capital intensive? Thank you.
Thank you
Over
very
to
much.
you, Uchenna.
Thank you very much for that question. So, recycling is a very long value chain. It depends on the stage of the business that you have entry into. Of course, I always tell everybody to start small and grow from there. For instance, when we started, we had just like 3 machines and they were not so expensive. So again, you have to also start manually. The costs start piling up when you start trying to automate the processes. So if you start manually, you start producing items, you start selling them, generating revenue. When you now see that you now have a revenue and there's now a demand for your product, that's when you now start buying machines, right? Again, there's really no business that you can start with zero capital. So yes, you can start small. If you go on AliExpress and you go on Alibaba, all these big machines, you can see the small versions of them that can be going for like $100. That's around 160,000. If you get them, you can have like a mixture of using those machines and using your manual, and operating it manually to get something that you can get into the market first, generate revenue. When people are buying those items, you can now use that money to automate, buy more machines and do it on a bigger scale. If you want to start recycling, start small, use manual manufacturing processes instead of trying to buy big machineries and trying to automate from the beginning. That's my answer. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Uche. So we have Calabar. Please, can you unmute yourself and ask your questions?
Good morning. My name is Austin. I'm Uchenna. I attended a routine last week, routine 2025. And then Mr. Thomas Clifton actually mentioned your business. He mentioned that he met you in Lagos. And I was very impressed because he was talking about you passionately when he was talking about 3D printing and the opportunities that are there. They're just there for people to just, get waste materials and then turn it to something of value. So it's more like a commendation for me for going out there and, printing something for yourself. So I'm very, very impressed. Thank you very much.
Thank you
so
very much.
much. Yeah, so can we quickly go to Yo? Can you unmute yourself and ask your question, please? Uyo, so while Uyo is coming up, Oka, please get ready.
All right, good morning, sir. Yeah, thank you
Good
so
morning.
much for what you just did there. I like what you did, and I love the fact that we can place values on West, right? Because in the past years, we discovered that we've been Westing West. They mean me to say that. And I love the fact that we are trying to be innovative in order to monetize the whole of this thing. And as Nigeria, we discovered that one challenge we have here is the problem of adoption. You see very well that when you bring up something, the adoption process can be very slow. Now, I want you to highlight processes or strategies we could use to bring a very, very fast adoption to the Nigerian communities.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Thank you very much for that. So I tell people the fastest way to drive adoption is to have a great product in the market. If you have a product that can compete with what is currently in the market, half of your job is done. Because once someone buys from you and they see that your product has a better quality, they are not going to go away. You now have a lifetime customer, right? And then whenever they come across somebody that needs that same thing, they'll be like, use this person, I don't try them, you know? So when if you want to drive adoption and public education, it's always have a great product. If you are trying to do marketing and you are spending money running ads, doing this, and your products do not have economic value and cannot compete with what is currently in the market, they're just going to use it once and dump it. So again, I thought we just have a great product in the market, make sure that your customers are satisfied, and they will do the whole marketing for you.
All right, thank you so much. All right, so Oka, can you unmute yourself and ask your question, please? Unmute yourself, please. Oka, you are still muted. Okay.
Good morning, sir. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Go ahead, please. Good morning.
Good morning, sir. I so much thank Ms. Uchenna Okoro for what she said. As I was listening to her, she said that this bringing of scraps and waste, instead of pushing it to other countries outside Nigeria, that we should bring it to our home country. Then my second question, the students from Uyo Window have answered my second question. Have asked my second question. So my first question I want to ask that, is there anybody in this Nigeria that is concerned about governing the bringing of the scraps and the waste to recycle it in this Nigeria? That's all.
So Uche, I'm sure you understand this question.
Yes, I understand the
Okay.
question. Right now, there is, but it is not yet formalized, right? For instance, we have the scavengers that pick these items. They always have an association, a body, and all of that, you know, and that regulates their pricing and their activities. But because there is no mass adoption and there is no public awareness, all these things are not structured. But the more people come into the industry, that's the recycling industry, we are going to see these things take better shape and form. Right now, they exist, but they don't exist in the way you think they exist because they are informal.
All right. So I think finally we have Maiduguri. Okay, we still have Abuja. Maiduguri, please unmute and ask a question before we take those on the chat box. You are muted. Okay.
Well, my name is Saini Abdullah Yusuf. There is some challenges that we face, like for example, me in Maiduguri now, lack of electricity and other like other machines that we can use and process that waste to become a finishing product. The thing is that in Maiduguri, we do not have sufficient light that we can use to challenge this economic growth. One. And number two, again, if we have that, what of the machine that can turn into that waste product to finishing goods? Please, if you can give us some brief highlight on that, we will be okay with that. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Maiduguri. All right, Uche.
Thank you very much for that question. It's not just Maiduguri. Nigeria does not have 24 hours lights anywhere. And that hampers industrialization and manufacturing on any scale. But I'll tell you what I did. I went to a place where other people are doing business, and we had a meeting, and we were like, we need electricity to work. So what do? We developed what I call an industrial cluster. We pooled our resources together and got our own generator and got our own diesel. The advantage to this is that because we are plenty, it drives down the cost of electricity. So look for like-minded people. It must not even be in your industry. Anybody that needs electricity, especially to do some form of work, right? If people will gather and form a cluster, it will drastically bring down the cost of running any form of facility, any form of business that needs electricity. So for instance, where my office is located, where we do our production, we have over 3,000 people there, right? And everybody, every month, we contribute money and we get our own lights. Because we were also a whole lot, we were able to lobby PHCN. We are an industrial cluster and we need lights to work from this time to this time. What can you people do? Right? And they told us, okay, we can afford to give you people 5 hours light, 4 hours light every day because of the kind of work that you are doing. But if you are a single person, you cannot approach EPA or PSTN and tell them, please give us light, right? So again, I tell people, wherever you are, form an industrial cluster. If you can get 1,000 businesses that are in an area, you can drive down the cost of electricity and lobby to get PHCN to give you people better light. And then for the machines that you need, recycling is on a spectrum. There are a lot of things you can recycle. Even the back of fruits, I use them to do a whole lot of things. So I cannot really answer specific about every machine that you need for recycling. But for instance, if you are trying to recycle metals, the first thing is to melt, right? Once you melt, so for that you need a furnace. You need a furnace to melt, and then you need a mold because you pour the metal. It depends on what you are trying to make. If you are trying to make plates, you need a plate mold. If you are trying to make spoons, you need a spoon mold. If you are trying to make cups, you need a cup mold. Then for plastic recycling, you need to break down the plastic waste, whether it's nylon, whether it's food packaging, whether it's bottle, water, plastic, right? You need to cut it into pieces because you need to mix it with chemicals that will melt it and it to turn into like rubber or fresh plastic that you can again use to mold something else that you want to produce.
All right, thank you so much, Uche. So let's take the final one before we look at the chat box. So we have American Space Abuja. Please kindly unmute yourself and ask your question, please. Thank you.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone. American Space Community.
Good
I'm
morning.
sending love from Abuja.
Thank you. Please go ahead. We receive your love. Go ahead, please.
I'm very, very fortunate to be in this program because I registered the company, Imo Waste Control Company. So this lecture is for me, but I have a challenge which Madam Uchenna didn't finish. How can we get funds or grants to start this business? Because I need a community and a crowdfunding, or I need funds to start this business. Is there any association I can join or create to kick off this waste recycling? Because I'm interested in it. I see mountain of waste everywhere. I know it's a big wealth wasting.
All right. Thank you so much. Uche, please go ahead. I'm sure if you have any answer for you on how to access fund.
Okay, can you hear me? So again, like I said, right now there is now a whole lot of emphasis on recycling and scrap metals and clean manufacturing and all of that. So yes, there are a lot of funds you can access, but it is depending on a whole lot of other factors. Do you have a business plan? Do you have a feasibility study? Do you have a competitive advantage? Do you have a pitch deck? How do you meet investors and tell them, if you give me this 1 million, in 5 years, I can turn it into 10 million using this vehicle, using recycling as a vehicle. People have won grants, and there are a ton of grants. We have Flourish Africa grants that opens up every year. We have the Tone Elumelu grant that opens up also every year. There is currently one, WEID, that just closed, WEIDE, that just closed yesterday. They are giving people grants of $2,000, $3,000. Tony Lumelu is giving $5,000, and then Flourish Africa is giving 3 million. Beyond just being passionate about being in the recycling space or starting a manufacturing company, you should have it at the back of your mind that it is a business. And when you want to apply for grants, you have to approach it as a business. So you have to have like your marketing plan, your business plan, your pitch deck. Those are the things that determine whether you'll be funded or not. But yes, there are a ton of grants, even beyond the ones that I mentioned.
All right, thank you so much. So let's quickly take some questions from the chat box. Okay, so I have this from Uyo. He said, what kind of brand of product can you recycle this waste into to actually turn it into product that the market people and private company can buy and make use of? I'm interested in turning this into a business as a student. Okay, I think there is a question before that, but that's number 2. But okay, so see, let's just keep that and pick others. So I have this from Titi Lola. I said, thank you, Ma, for enlightenment. Can they share more light on equipment requirements required to start a venture such as recycling in Nigeria? So I think you have mentioned that earlier. Depend on your area of recycling interest. So I don't know if you want to still speak on that, but I know you mentioned it earlier. So someone from Jos is asking, where and how can we purchase small-scale machines for plastic or metal recycling? Also, do you have a LinkedIn profile? Please share so we would love to connect with you.
Okay, great. Yes, you can. So again, I answer questions from a personal perspective of how I got my machines. The first machine I got were small machines. So in manufacturing and industrialization, right, machines are graded according to their capacity. So you can see a machine that can produce 10,000 tons a day. You can see one that can produce 1,000 tons a day, and then you can see one that will just produce 50 kg a day. So the prices of those ones are different. So again, I always tell people, start small, start small. So one of the things you can do is go on Alibaba. You are going to see machines that are as cheap as 100,000 naira. I've even seen one of the machines that we are currently using in my facility. I got it for 30,000 naira. It was, I think, $20. The only problem is you have to make sure that the sellers are genuine and they can send the machines to Nigeria. So don't try to buy a 10,000 tons machine. It's going to cost millions of naira. But you can see one that you can buy for 100,000. Most times when you meet these manufacturers, you can tell them, I want something very small. Whenever you are starting a business, don't target to sell to 10 million people in 1 year. Get your first 100 sales. Get your first 1,000. That's how you grow. If you try to get these big machines, get everything, right, you're going to overstretch yourself and you're going to burn out.
All right, thank you so much. So the one from Uyo, I think some of these questions have been answered earlier in our presentation. Probably some people were not listening. But he said, how can I start the recycling business as a student? I've been able to get to local scrap collectors and gathering waste. How can I actually recycle this product privately as a starter with low income? And he went ahead to say, what kind or brand of products can I recycle this waste into to actually turn them into finished products the market people and private companies can buy? So that's the question I was trying to get. So I tried to get all of them, Jenna.
Okay. Thank you for that question. So there is really nothing that you can't produce from recycled metals, right? You can, if you get plastic bottles, water bottles, right? The ones they sell 200 naira, you can break them down and turn them into something else, right? This time around, you can buy a plate making mold. When we go to fast food to buy food, we see that it is plastic plates. You understand? So it depends on what you actually want to produce. There is literally, I cannot tell you, I produce spoon, because we have plastic spoons, we have plastic plates, we have cups, everything. You can actually produce it. So there is no linear answer. You just have to ask yourself, which one am I more interested in? Where can I get the mold for pouring this liquid metal or liquid plastic or anything like that? Yes.
All right. So Benin City and Kefi, your questions have been answered on the chat box. So she has stated how she started, her start strength and all that. And also the website. So you can have a look at our products, sample of our products that are there. So let me quickly look at some few more questions. Okay, so Georgina said, my team has converted oil palm waste to biocompost for agricultural usage instead of using inorganic fertilizers. We are also getting biocomposite from this same stream and some other laboratory chemicals. Waste management is highly profiting. Waste is money, waste is valuable. Okay, so I think she just collaborating on what you said. The person also is talking about how can I start recycling business. I'm sure she has answered that. Electricity, public awareness. Yeah, okay, you've mentioned that. It's just a response to the question from Kanu. Okay, so these are by equipment. We have answered that as well. So I think she has actually answered all the questions. So probably at this point, I will want to ask if you have any final thoughts, Uche, that you want to share with us as we round up.
Okay, thank you very much for that. I want to thank everybody for attending. This session was very interesting, and I really liked the feedback and the enthusiasm everyone used to approach the prospects of recycling in manufacturing. I hope I see more people enter into this industry. We are very few. Currently, I don't think we are up to 10 in the whole of Nigeria. So you see that this is an industry that is literally unexplored, right? And even beyond Nigeria, this is a business you can scale to Africa and all over the world, right? So I hope that beyond just coming for the classes, we take it more serious and try to produce things that we need here in Nigeria using waste. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Uchenna. We really appreciate you. Although I would have loved that you tell us what propelled you into this business. If you can just tell us about what propelled you into this business before we close.
Okay. Thank you very much for that. So I discovered recycling by accident, right? While I was in school, I wanted to have extra source of income, so I started selling jewelries in school. So while I was selling it to my classmates and just the university community, I started asking myself, why are we not producing these things, right? And I was like, okay, I looked around and there was literally nobody producing jewelries in Nigeria at that time. Almost everything we had was gotten from China. I was like, why? And I now said, okay, I'm going to start producing. I started doing my research. I started watching YouTube videos. I started asking questions. I joined a lot of Facebook groups. I was asking questions. And they now told me, get a casting machine, get a furnace. You can start from there and start experimenting. I was like, okay. I saved up some money and I bought the casting machine, and then I bought the furnace, and then I could not find the metal to produce the jewelries. I went back to my Facebook group and I was complaining that it is not sustainable for me to be buying scrap metal, buying metals, fresh metal from outside the country, bringing it into Nigeria and trying to use it to make jewelries. So one person in the group now suggested, why don't you use the old or scrap metals you have um, in Nigeria there? I'm sure you people have a lot. And I was like, oh, interesting, interesting. So I now pivoted from trying to import fresh metals into going to the market, asking questions, meeting with the scavengers. I'm like, this thing, who they sell them, where do I go to purchase it at this price? What's the price? This and that. And that's how from selling jewelry, I went into manufacturing. From manufacturing, I went into recycling. Yes.
Thank you very much. One of the reasons why we organize this program in American spaces is to empower the young people in our spaces. And that was why I wanted you to tell your story, how you got into this business. Thank you very much for your time. I would like to hand over to Samuel. Over to you, sir.
Uchenna, thank you very much. Can we put our hands together for our resource persons today? You know, it's customary for us to clap for our facilitators. Okay. Thank you very much for coming. This has been very enlightening, and I hope our young folks are listening. The reason why I say so is this. I particularly wanted to speak because I wanted to find out how you got into this. And that's when Josephine has that question. So those of you who are in school now, why can't you think along this line? And I would have loved to also ask whether Uchenna also does her mentoring, or are there platforms that anybody who is interested could sign up? Just like you said, there's a Facebook group or something like that. Because as you know, over 65% of Nigeria's population are youth. And a higher percentage of the 65% are unemployed. So the question is, what are we supposed to be doing? And that's the concern of the US government. And that's why we're bringing this program to your doorsteps so that you can take advantage of some of the ideas. And as we are talking, this is being streamlined on our Facebook, on our social media platforms, and we encourage you to go back and watch them. So please don't let this just go. We've had this employability webinar for May, and that's it. Let something change. Go back on some of those ones that we've watched and see what you can do. We still have about 7 more months in the year. You can change your fortune. And Uchenna, I think you're also Mandela Washington Fellow.
Yes, sir.
I would have also loved to know, how did you get into this, becoming a fellow? And that's 5 weeks in the US. And then you're also able to bring a resource person who trained Nigerians on entrepreneurship for a whole week. And did you charge any of them?
No, it was a free workshop.
Can you imagine that also? Free workshop. So the question is, look, and this, I mean, I don't want to ask her how old is she, but you can tell from what she's not up to 50. You know I'm joking. So what I'm just saying in essence is this: she's as young as any of us that are listening to her. Please, let's take advantage of this opportunity. I want to wish everyone a great future, and we want to wish you what you wish yourself. By Wednesday, we'll be having eLibrary USA as well as Education USA. Please make sure you stay tuned from 10 o'clock on the same platform, on the same where you are. And we believe that you are going to enjoy yourself. And with that, we want to ask everyone also to please wait behind because we also have a program today. Okay, Josephine is going to tell us more about the program. Over to you.
All right, thank you, everyone. This afternoon, we'll be having a program on road safety awareness, a workshop by 2 p.m.